All right, thanks for joining us again. This is Newspaper Review. I am Moses Humphrey.
And I am Chukuma Okoro. Thanks for joining us.
All right, then, so let's dive into it. We have Daily Fanimo joining us this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning this morning, Moses.
All right, so we go to the Punch newspaper on our table. Bandits influx. Task force meets as Amotekun. Police tighten southwest boundaries. Oyo security chiefs hold closed-door meeting in Ibadan. Undo, Oshun, others review strategies. And then we have some other headlines here. Threats to life. Atiku, LP, Capet Tinubu, APC lampoons Obi. Forex allocations for fuel import rise to $1.25 billion. Tax reform, Northern elders, governor maintain opposition as senators lobby. And then Forex, food crisis likely as northern farmers opt for export. Okay, we also have some of the headlines here. Tinubu calls for Africa's unity. Obasanjo Zuma attend Mahama's inauguration. PDP differs as Okpebolo accuses LG chairs of 12 billion naira diversion. Romance scam. 2 US-based Nigerians face 40-year jail term. Stampede. Orni's ex-queen, others allege illegal detention. Oyo opposes bail. All right, so these are the headlines from the Punch newspaper. To the Vanguard now we go. How lack of power, water, Jagba degrades health sector, I beg your pardon. Exodus, shortage of healthcare workers persists. Healthcare system faces challenges in service delivery due to accountability issues. Lack of funds for healthcare remains a big problem. Government's ability to equip hospitals, buy essential medicine and supplies, run effective public health programs remain limited. Obi Atiku, Labour Party, blast APC. I didn't threaten your life. Stop telling lies. APC spokesman tells Obi how corruption allegations led to suspension of LG chairman Okpebolo. Gunmen abduct 46 in Zamfara community. Livestock development. Herders can't afford ranches. Mayetiala. Tinubu at Mahama's inauguration. We will lift our people out of poverty. Nigeria at moderate risk of human metapneumovirus, NCDC. All right, so these, and then we have some of the headlines here on top of the masthead. Over 7 million registered electricity customers yet to be metered. That's according to NERC. No state has excuse not to pay 70,000 naira minimum wage, and that's from NECA. Shocker, NFF announces sacked Malian coach for Super Eagles. Tinubu approves allowances, bulletproof SUVs for retired generals. This story actually broke yesterday, but oh well. These are the headlines that we have for you at the moment. Gentlemen of the rest.
I think I'm interested in this health sector story.
Okay.
You see, I'm a little bit worried that we are still on this route. And government is paying little or no attention to it. No matter how wealthy you are, if you are assailed by one ailment or the other, you are not likely to think of that money. The first thing that will come to your mind is, how do I survive? Now, not to talk of somebody who doesn't have the means. On a close shave here, Chukuma will relate to this story. Somebody was here, was sick, malaria. She had no money, and she only pretended not to know the right drug. When she was offered money, she went to buy analgesic of different brands. Bosca,
Let's not name names, yeah.
You know, now, after 2 days, we saw her and we discovered that she was not recuperating as fast as she could. And I had to say, can I see those drugs you've been using? And I told her, and I was alarmed. But inward, I knew that if she had the money, she probably wouldn't have gone to this local chemist. And eventually she was given another money. And with the right prescription, she went, and the second day, she was hale and hearty. Now imagine how many people are in these shoes. And with this large-scale corruption, what we require to take people out of such minor ailments that claim their lives are just very, very minute. And that brings me to the issue of primary health care. If we can solve some of these problems at the primary level, you'll find out that tertiary hospitals will be looking for patients, will be asking for patients for their clinicals.
They'll basically have lesser work to do.
They will have lesser work to do. But most times, it is only when it is absolutely getting to the point of terminal ailment that we rush to the tertiary institutions. And at that time, it's almost like 50-50 chance of survival. But if, for instance, if you leave malaria untreated and you keep allowing your immune system to fight over a period of time, the immunity will drop. And that's why sometimes you see people having cerebral fever, which could also lead to some other complications. So if we have local governments that are alive to their responsibilities, and look at, we are even asking for local government autonomy. Even without autonomy, local government chairmen have been accused now of stealing 12 billion naira in one state. And that state has only 18 local governments.
Not stealing per se. I mean, that's not the word. It's diversion. You know, from one account, maybe diverted to individuals. You know,
and so anybody that diverts state money, local government money to a private endeavor, what has it done?
Be used to do something else.
The definition of stealing is you take something that does not belong to you. That is it. So let's not put
it's not just
so primary health care is at the heart of solving.
Now we're looking at
issues.
This publication now speaks to the lack of power. Now that is not the that is not the purview. That is not the purview of the local government.
Now you see power.
That's the purview of the federal government.
In rural areas,
it speaks
there
to
is
the
no part of this
water.
country that there is no part of this country that solar power cannot function. There is no part of this
whose
country.
Responsibility?
The local government should provide solar power energy to these dispensaries and primary health care centers.
We are still speaking of local government autonomy. A lot of them.
That's one. Then you talk about boreholes. You talk about boreholes. Senators who are not supposed to even dabble into bringing dividend of democracy because they were elected to make laws. Now that they have shifted to executive responsibilities, rather than bring Okada, why don't they sink boreholes in these hospitals and let it be used, solar-powered boreholes? So if we are going to wait for federal government to put boreholes in all these dispensaries, how long are we going to wait? But it is the responsibility of the local government to take care of primary health. Once that one is solved, then you come to the secondary health sector, where you know what it means.
All right, then. Well, that's one issue. Well, there are other issues here that we'll also want to chime into. But we do have a correspondent from, well, we have a guest, actually, from our Port Harcourt outstation, Pius Duka. Oh, thanks for joining the conversation. Now, yes, I'm coming to you. Yes, you. So we were talking about health, as you know, pointed out, as signposted by the Vanguard newspaper. Lack of water has been, been pointed out as part of the reasons healthcare is largely suffering in Nigeria. Water, lack of that as well, and then the Japa syndrome. That's also part of it. Well, what are your thoughts on this one? We have a little bit of an audio issue there as he's trying to, basically just sharing our thoughts here. So let me know what your thoughts are on this one.
Yes, good morning, our great viewers. I think it's very necessary to note that the issue of water and other parts of social amenities are very amenities. We are still struggling between the local people. We are still struggling to making sure that we have these social amenities. It means that we are actually what we call the cliche that Nigeria is a giant of Africa. It means that we should go to smaller countries and learn how they keep their citizens and how they begin to provide these social amenities that are supposed to be the basic and the fundamental thing that any government will provide for its people. So when I hear the conversation out there, how a very huge amount of money, being siphoned or, put into a pocket of somebody, and then the issue of the fact that the person at some point will walk freely, and the person at some point will have chieftaincy title. The person will be a lord in his own domain and a lot of things, and it will be the thing of the past. It is going to be perpetually in continuation if we don't stop this. And that is why I think that from Port Harcourt here, we are lending our voice that the 2025 should be a year whereby all the things that we do against our citizenry, corruption, mismanagement, manipulation, and then for the essence of even going to far other countries and borrowing money in the name of developing Nigeria and our state. You see a lot of states having huge borrowing deficits, and then you see in the budget, and citizens will not allow to monitor the budget, because I always say that it is in the budget that people can steal your money. It is in the budget that people can collect your health care. It is in the budget that people can collect your education. It's in the health care that people can collect maybe employment and other things that are supposed to be, even agricultural development. So we, citizens, should begin to open their eyes, not only open their eyes, check the budget very vividly, check the budget very properly. Sometimes in the past, I used to monitor some budget, even when NGOs send me some federal government budget, and you'll be shocked to your bone marrow, the type of things that you discover in the budget. That is not there anyway, it's not there. And it just goes like that, year after year, year after year after year. So when you hear Nigeria presenting over how many trillion, 80,
lost it at that point, well, unfortunately. But we will go back to our Port Harcourt studio in the course of the program when the audio is rectified. Man, let's Chuma.
I have something to talk about.
The same story or
not
another
a different story also.
Okay, which would that be?
Vanguard newspaper. It says corruption. I think how corruption
allegations led to suspension of LG chairman.
LG chairman, So and Governor Mondo Bobole spoke a lot. He said, he said that the 18 local government chairmen were suspended when they refused to respond to a discovery that they remitted about 12 billion naira to some leaders of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in 15 months. And it's, according to him, it is the accountant general that found this out, Apparently, the accountant general, had always known, but and I think waited for the new governor to step in, before he now
made the revelation.
And my question would be, if you discovered that people had spent or misappropriated 12 billion naira, and they don't have immunity, is the first thing to do to suspend them or to prosecute them?
You should have written a petition to
EFCC to come in.
Because they don't have immunity.
Because they don't have immunity, so they can be arrested and tried. So
the moment you move towards suspension, you have made it political.
You have made it
because
political.
already this is a criminal offense. You should have told the part of criminal prosecution.
No, it's not me. I mean,
I don't know anything about it.
Has been spent.
If you are cleared from EFCC, you remain in your office.
You remain in your office and all of that.
That is
but the moment he tried to remove them by suspension,
it became political.
It became political, like he wanted to. And now he's impeaching them. or they are impeaching themselves.
Themselves.
Impeaching them.
They're impeaching themselves and all of that. So, but on the flip side of it, I was thinking, does it mean that Monday it's clean? Monday Obobolo is clean. He's coming out clean because he doesn't want to mess up with local government finances, local government funding. And Moses, I don't know why you're putting your face like that. That's what I want to find out. I want you people to help me, open a window into his hand. Let's see what he intends to do actually with local government money. Because he seems to be pontificating all this while he doesn't want, he doesn't know how to pronounce figures. And so
he doesn't want to
maybe he feels that those figures were mind-boggling. And he was scared of the figures that somebody could take 12 billion from local government funds. Now, what this speaks to is the fact that these local government chairmen were practically appendages of the governor. SPVs. And if Okwebolo leaves office today, same thing is likely to happen.
Deja vu. It's like something we have
seen. Well, let's not draw that conclusion yet.
No, I have to. Look, show me a governor that can be taken out of this whole mess. Show me a governor in the country. Because I told you there was a time somebody felt, no, enough was enough. And he said, he can't be signing 100 million naira and be collecting 20 million. And it became a serious mess. Do you know, even in political circles, they were blaming him. That, who sent you? Is it you alone?
It's a Nigerian thing.
It's a Nigerian
thing. Somebody shuns line in a traffic and is struggling to enter.
What is your business?
And when you receive people who say, organize
what concern you?
Allah make you enter. And I say, the road go see there when you pass.
Our colleague in Ogun State was trying to square off with Amosu on this same issue. Wale Adedayo. See the way it was messed up. His councillors impeached him for saying the truth. So who is that person that is immune?
It's more like the iron law of oligarchy. You come into power, you paint yourself as a saint. Meanwhile, when you are outside, you paint yourself as a saint. When you get into office,
and then you're
you do worse than.
Of course. And what they always do to distract people or to take away their eyes from what we are doing, they do this initial gragra. And once they do the initial gragra, I've seen many initial gragra in government circle before. There was a particular governor that came to your state. He's late now. A military administrator. When he came, the first target, maybe he was briefed before he came into the state. His first target was the Commissioner for Finance, Director, World Bank Projects, and Director Works. He was attacking them. You would think that he would pick his rifle and shoot them. After 4 months, those 3 people became his ally till he left office. The closest allies. So all these initial somebody like me
there's also a
will not be taking in.
To it. There's also a psychological part to that. You make them uncomfortable.
So that they show you the way.
They'll show you the way. They bow to your ways. No. I'm just saying. But,
I won't be surprised that Moses will one day go back to Imo State to go and contest as local government chairman.
That's a tall one. Oh well. The good thing about the initial gragra is it exposes, things done, misappropriation. It exposes some of these things. It makes Nigerians aware that, these office holders misappropriated funds. So with that knowledge, Nigerians can say, okay, let us not allow this person get back into power if they have the power to prevent the person.
But you also discover that this initial gragra is always at the state level.
At the state now.
The presidency, they don't do everything.
No. That's too big for initial gragra.
That's a bigger house.
How
do you run around a whole stadium?
Okay, it's like a
big yacht. If it's a studio like this, it's easy to run. So
well, let's go to Port Harcourt, where Pius is standing. My Pius, you want to chime in on this one?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, are you
Loud
there?
and clear, go ahead.
Yes. I think the issue of corruption is a very serious menace in Nigeria. And because it's like some people say it's part of us since from 1960 till date. However, in the past, it wasn't as so much as how it is today. And a lot of people also deal on what we call the primitive accumulation of wealth. And then they say, wait for your turn when you come to government, when you're in government position, you can do. People were talking about that at the federal level is not much saying. You can hear of the better Adu situation, and you can hear of the former minister for humanitarian affairs, how some humongous amount of money was displaced within a domain, and then the issue of palliative and all those stuff continue to ring bell. However, when we talk about local government corruption, that one is closer to the people, is grassroots, and I think that a lot of time people think that something of government, I don't supposed to go closer to it, but we need to do a lot of sensitization and also mobilization that every citizen should know that you are part of the local government formations, even though you are in or out of government. And until we put a check on these people continually, but what I want to ask there very quickly, even though it's rhetorical, is that if those local government chairmen were, part of the governor, the same political party, will you have gotten the impetus and also the well-to-do to deal with those issues? Or because you stumble on the document that, alleges that some billions of naira have been given to stakeholders, that is why. So we need to look at government whereby it is your political party that produce the local government chairman, and yet you come out to deal with them for misappropriation of funds and then of corruption. But when you look at that could be a little bit of check and balance, if you ask me, because he inherited those local government chairmen, even though most of those allegations are actually going to be true, or when further investigation will be done. But we have also seen where a lot of governors too go away with a lot of frivolous budgeting that will not be actualized, and at the end of the day, the sum of 80 billion as has been alleged in Kogi State, and so many other times. And even when Nuhu Ribadu was an EFCC chairman, we know how a lot of governors were dented, and then at the end of the day, the corruption toga on their head were stepped aside. So, but if we continue in this manner, I think that just like they describe us, that Nigeria is fantastically corrupt, then we are going to put it as a legacy to our children. And at the end of the day, the development we are looking for will escape us. So I think we should take the issue of corruption very seriously, so that those who, in fact, my suggestion, which I always say, is that if we see anybody who actually collect money, as the EFCC and the ICPC agency, they should even think about collecting the money from them and use it for a particular project. That is what we mean and known to be naming and shaming. Collect the money, the billion from the person, use it for a specific road project, use it for a specific health project, use it for a specific education project, and put their name there. That this was the money recovered from these people. By so doing, over time, people will know. But if we just call them and they say plea bargain, I have been quarreling with that plea bargain in the EFCC Act, which also supposedly increasing the number of corruption and corrupt cases in our country. We are not qualified for plea bargain now in the EFCC Act. So how can somebody, like for here in Rivers State, sometimes you hear a lot of money, quantum of money going out. You hear a local government chairman displaying hotel, big mansion of building hotels, and it is all over there. And people say, no, don't talk about them. It's because you're not there yet. So should we continue like this? Then how do we come out of this situation? And that is the question I think all of us, the 200 million people who are in Nigeria, and just few of them who are in the office. I heard people talking when we were doing talking about senators and House of Reps. What about their constituency projects? Are they actually giving the resultant effect to those?
Oh yes, oh yes. Well, we could go on and on about these issues. It's unfortunate. It's something that has been attributed to Nigerians, corruption. And truly, they say when you're not there, that's when you're spitting fire. The moment you get there, you find a way to want to, put something aside for yourself as well.
You don't talk while
Well, we have a Benin station where Ozerewe Aliyu is standing by. Let's have your thoughts on this as well. Talking about, corruption, how it has affected Nigeria, especially in light of the local government. But the good thing about the what's going on in Edo State is these are PDP council chairmen. These are PDP. Those that are replacing them are also members of the PDP, but they are, vowing to work with the governor regardless. So it's still PDP at the local government level. Well, let's come to you. Your thoughts on this, please. Ali, go ahead. Because we'd like to take your thoughts there. We know it took time for you to get to the studio, so we'd like to hear you out. Oh well, let's go to another paper. Now, this story, there's this conversation I would like us to chime in on. I think we touched on it yesterday. The allegation of threat to life from Felix Morka of the APC against Peter Obi of the Labour Party. Well, this headline here from the Punch newspaper reads, "Threat to life, Atiku, Labour Party, carpet Tinubu, APC lampoons Obi." Now, Morka has said, look, I didn't threaten your life. But you read the report, you read his speech.
Yes.
Well, he did say, look, it wasn't a threat to your life or your business or your family or anything like that. You are lying to Nigerians. Stop lying to Nigerians.
Moses, it was very clear and written, and he spoke clear English, My interpretation...
Can you extract a few words, a few things that he said?
No, he said...
If you have them.
Okay. I'm not sure I can easily read them now, but I recall that when he talked about Obi having to face the consequences of his actions.
And what actions?
Actions of crossing the red line.
Which we analyzed yesterday to mean critiquing this administration.
Not just critiquing, but it gets to a point where we can no longer tolerate your excesses. So you have to be held responsible for your action. Be mindful of the consequences when it comes to you. Moses, that is a clear thread, if you ask me. So there is no how Felix Morka can try to twist the narrative now. It wasn't, I was merely, no, it was clear thread. I wasn't the only one that saw it. A lot of people out there also read the same statement, read the same meaning into that statement. And like I said yesterday, Peter Obi didn't say what Felix Morka doesn't know. Peter Obi didn't say what the president doesn't know. The president has agreed. President has admitted, even in faraway Brazil, look, things are hard here. Farmers are not even going to farm. The economy is in decline, but I'm a reformist. I'm reforming. So for APC to say that Obi is more like a doomsday prophet, I think they are the ones that are doomsday prophets. Because they are trying to deceive the gullible Nigerian. And like I told you the other day, Nigerians are becoming more politically sophisticated. Nigerians are becoming more discerning. They know when you are telling them the truth. They know when you are lying to them. And like I always say, I have to be very modest. I have a problem with handlers of the president, of the government. Not just this government.
Should the presidency,
even Buhari and even PDP.
Should the presidency speak and dissociate itself from the statement of Felix Morka?
No, they can't, because it's the party.
No.
He speaks for the party, and the party is clearly above the president, even if he's the national leader of the party. It was the party that put him there. He didn't go there as Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He went there on behalf of the APC. So the party is like a cohesive entity that put him there. So they cannot dissociate themselves.
Morka is also representing the party.
What I expect the presidency to do is to look at a way to reframe what Morka said and admit that, look, the economy is in dire straits, but that the government is making efforts. They should read out statistics. They should give us figures. How prices of commodities have dropped, how fuel prices have dropped, and all of that. That is what Nigerians are looking at.
Okay. Well, the reason I said dissociate itself is because we know that most of the things reeled out by Obi was basically suggestions on how things could be done differently, better.
Which they are not paying him.
Better.
He's not paid for.
But then, if there is a perceived threat to life from coming from suggestions made, wouldn't that put this administration on the pedestal of wanting to suppress opposing thoughts, wanting to suppress people?
Moses,
Shouldn't they now come and say, look, we are not in for suppressing people? Feel free to share
that
your New Year message or whatever.
I said something yesterday. I said sometimes we use phrases, we use adjectives that we don't even weigh how heavy
The gravity of the words.
the words are. For me, if you say somebody has crossed the red line, I gave an example of how to cross the red line yesterday. There was nothing in Peter Obi's statement that suggested he has crossed the red line at all. And there was no reason. When you say somebody would get the consequence of his action, it has different meanings.
Okay.
It could be interpreted to mean so many things.
All right. Sorry, please. Permit me to pause, to hold on to your thoughts there. Let's quickly run to our Edo station where we hear that the audio has been rectified so we can take Aliyu's thoughts now. Aliyu, you can respond to the first headline and then this one as well. Go ahead, quickly, please.
The first headline of what?
Oh, go ahead and respond to this one.
Okay, what we are saying is the APC trying to play an unnecessary defensive role to be seen to be defending their principal, because the comments by Obi and the other person, it is not something that we need to begin to debate or bother about. But the APC trying to see that they are working to protect the government in power and the party, and I think that is the essence. That's the reason why they are presenting what they are saying. Otherwise, there is a thing and they have come out to say what is happening. There is no basis for APC coming out to say this man is not safe. For me, it's just a way of defending to think actually working.
Now let's go to Port Harcourt. What are your thoughts? You want to chime in on this one? Go right ahead, Pius. I can hear you. But I'm pretty sure he couldn't hear. Well, let's touch on some other headlines now from other dailies. Chikuma, do you have any you want us to touch on at the moment in the absence of, well, if you don't have any within reach right now, let's quickly run
there's always something to talk about, and the government abduct 46 in Zamfara community, abduction. Bombings and destruction of military bases. First it was Nigerian army base, now and again it's joint operations base in the same Borno state. And we begin to ask, for how long will this insurgency last in Nigeria? And the fact that people are abducted, these one are communities come out to tell us, look, this is what is happening.
So it's significant about them. We need to tell these people that if they have turned that into a merchandise, let us know.
Okay, there is something just crept into my mind now. When Buhari was in government, and it was like there was insecurity in parts of the north, but there was also insecurity in the southeast. And it's like some people were saying that, well, so long as the president is from the north, that's the reality. We can't run away from it. Nigeria is a multi-ethnic society, so we have to bring it to the fore. And some people were like, oh, the president is from the north, and he'll just turn his eyes away from what is happening in the southeast. If you want to kill yourselves from Monday to Sunday, well, that is your business. Go ahead and do it. Now, my question is, and I want us to, I want to get clear that, does it look like once Abuja, Lagos, and the city centers are safe, the government will like, well, if you want to kill yourself in the southeast, if you want to kill yourself in the northeast or northwest, well, it's your fucking business. I mean, you just, sorry, that's your business. I'm sorry. I take that back. That's your business, So does it look like we have come to a stage where it's like if Abuja is free, Lagos is free, the city centers are free, and whatever goes on, if you want to kill yourself, when you get tired, does it look like have we reached that stage?
No.
I would also not agree, not
No,
But that
think
seems to be,
that.
that seems to be
you
happening.
see, the point is, when you are being assailed by non-state actors, the first thing that should come to your mind is, if it doesn't get to me today, what immunity do I have that it won't get to me tomorrow?
People in government, do they think about those things?
They need to think about it, and it is our responsibility to let them know that they have to think about it. If Netanyahu was in his residence the day they sent missile to that place, he probably would have died. But this is the man that said it is either total victory or nothing. The moment you begin to protect your life is when you lose it. And the moment you are ready to lose your life, that's when you earn it. Let these people know that they need to remove emotion. They need to remove ethnic, religious sentiment from this and let it be a total war. If it's going to take us 1 year consistently, even if it requires budgeting 50% of our annual budget to eliminate these people, to take them out of the equation, let us make that sacrifice. Otherwise, particularly those who had been named in the past as either sponsors or sympathizers to these non-state actors, let them be known, let them be shamed. Somebody was saying that anybody that steals government money, that they should collect that money from him and use it to build a project and put his photograph there. There was a time in this country during the military era.
And then inscribe that
Money recovered from you, so that your children will be ashamed of you.
They will take you to
They
your
will take
village.
to your village for execution. You know? So until we go to this point, until we decide to take this same Buhari that you're talking about,
Sorry.
during Matasini riot, you recall that he was the commander of that operation. Even when Shagari told him to step back, he chased them out of Nigeria, even inside Niger. But when it goes to Boko Haram now, your people are killing my people.
You said something. Sorry, Dele. You said something about people who were taken to their villages.
Yes.
To be killed.
Yes,
In
firing squad.
And in the process where people were being killed, some people were caught pickpocketing. Pickpocketing where people were already staked, to be shot.
for stealing.
For stealing, and some people were caught pickpocketing in the midst of that crime.
In fact, there was a particular execution I witnessed that before we left that execution ground, somebody was crying, rolling on the ground. They've stolen his car.
Well, this is
So that's to ask the question.
Is it a
this is
deterrent?
not in any
Capital
way.
punishment is there a deterrent?
Yes,
It's not.
this is not in any way.
It's not.
This is not in any way to
It's an
advocate
abridged
for
form of
capital
punishment.
punishment.
It's an abridged form of punishment.
Yes, but we also know that a lot of these things at the time deterred people from committing crime. In as much as you point
You see,
to yes, it largely because at the time
what deterred
Babu,
you and
excuse
I
me, please,
and
excuse me.
Chukuma from committing crime was the value placed on integrity in those villages then.
at the time.
Chukuma cannot go back to his village after 6 months in Lagos and drive a car. The father will go and hide somewhere and say, let me go and ask him how you made
Now,
money
my
to
point
buy
is,
car.
my point is, at the time, largely, you would see that the bar beach at that time was, a place where firing squad took
yes.
place, So, and then parents will always point to it that, look, if you don't stop stealing, if you stole a biro, you come back home and say, look, is this biro yours?
It starts from
yours,
biro.
the moment you steal, you bring back something else. Firing squad is your portion. That means stealing is bad. This could be my portion. This could happen to me, and then you refrain from such. But our society has gotten to a point where when people steal, in fact, the larger they steal, the more
better.
we celebrate them. The more titles they get.
Triple chief.
The more titles
we
they
have moved
get.
from high chief to double chief, from double chief to
Triple chief.
So
now.
I don't think there's a light at the end of this tunnel.
But
Yes,
talking seriously,
there's
we
no way out of it.
need to tell our leaders that they should be proactive in fighting these dissidents.
Okay, well, there's another headline I'd like us to react to. This one is from Nigerian Tribune. I'll just read out a few of the headlines there, and then we'll take our reactions, especially coming to Port Harcourt and those studios now. Now, from Nigerian Tribune, now this particular headline, where we've touched on Oboriwori not defecting to this is part of the headlines on Nigerian Tribune. Oboriwori not defecting to APC, according to the government. Military pensioners demand payment of outstanding arrears, barricade finance ministry. We touched on this yesterday. Ibadan Stampede, bail application of Naomi Oriyomi, principal, to be decided on Monday. Now, this particular one, the president was in Ghana yesterday.
Was in
Ghana.
Pardon? In Ghana yesterday.
Okay. To attend Hamas' swearing
Inauguration. And then he says, he's quoted as saying that Africa will lift itself out of poverty, build resilient economies. And then he goes on to say Nigeria-Ghana bond cannot be broken, and the rest of them. And this made some Nigerians raise eyebrows, like Africa should lift itself out of poverty, when in your own administration, poverty has worsened. Poverty has basically been christened the multidimensional. They have different grades to it now. In fact, over 152 million Nigerians are said to be below the poverty line.
132.
Yes. So what exactly are you now saying
what is
in
left?
Ghana?
You and I.
Are you?
Well, let's go to our Port Harcourt studio now. Pius Duka is standing by. Pius, what are your thoughts on this headline shared? I can see you chuckling already. Talk to me.
Yeah, but before I go on to that very one, especially the statement by the president at Ghana, may I also share a little thought on the Obi issue of threat, the one that we have been talking about. Port Harcourt was left out of that, so I said let me chip in a bit, because I know that opposition is key to political development in Nigeria. And I think there are more people who are talking about how the economy is biting them than even Peter Obi. And I even think that what Peter Obi is doing is very necessary so that we can begin to grow politically, just as I've said before. And the issue of red line, who ruled the red line, and what are the criteria for red line? What constitutes red line in case somebody wants to cross? Because I think that we have just talked about policy somersault. What brought about all this hardship is that you come to remove fuel subsidy when there was no proper definition, no proper research on how to put our refineries in order. Then we are suffering like that. And so somebody speak out, a presidential candidate speak out. We have been speaking out. And then somebody on his own, because you belong to a political party and you want to think that you can carpet Peter, it's wrong. All of us have been talking and we'll continue to talk. Let it be that they build more prisons where a lot of people will be, in prison. That is on that one. On the issue of the statement of the president in Ghana, well, as a visiting president to his neighbor country, he has the audacity and the willingness to make those statements. However, making those statements, it is ultimate belief that you need to walk towards those statements, because let it not be that you're just making that at the peripheral stage, because you see an international stage and then you're talking. What are the economic things, standard you're putting in place so that Africa will move out of poverty? I always said it, fundamentally. We are talking about refineries. Are they actually working? Or rumors that are working? Importation of fuel, is it still going on? We are talking about countries who don't have a drop of oil, like South Africa. They have 7 working refineries. We are talking, I don't want to talk about, America that has 130 refineries. A state in America, like California, get 30 refineries. I don't want to talk about Germany. I don't want to talk about Libya. I don't want to talk about the poorest country, Niger, who has 1 refinery that is working, and Cameroon that is working. And then we are here rigmaroling. So when you say that you want to talk about Africa coming out of poverty, in the midst of your very plenty mineral resources that you don't even know how to even use it, it means that the poverty will continue. And it's not in rhetoric, it's not in grammar, it's not in poetic terms, or maybe what we call poetic license. You know, so you must work with it. What are you doing for the youth who constitute over 70% of the Nigerian population? What measure of skill are you giving to them? If they finish it with the university, are they going to get themselves into the workability or maybe an essence of company, or what is actually going on in Africa? Because when you look at the African sub-region, you now see, the twinkle of poverty, jumping from one place to the other. And we now wait for donor agencies like World Bank and African Development Bank and others, who will also dictate the modus operandi of the loan that they are going to give to us. So it's laughable sometimes. But however, being our president, coming there to give kudos to a new president of Ghana, on the platter of gold, yes, he has done well, and then bonding with Ghana. We should also know that Ghana have gone very far ahead of us, politically, economically, even in tax reforms and all that, and employment opportunities. Even though the House of Representatives was able to boo the past government who left in his presence, in his face, when he was giving the valedictory speech. So it is something where we need to do here. That boldness of talking to power and speaking the truth. And then those who are in power should know if they fail and to not to admit it, not only to admit at international level, at the in-country, what are you going to do to change this to change the scenario and the situation? It's what we need to do. There's no magic to it, but just one policy. One policy can trickle and remove this poverty. For example, if you say, okay, the Warri refinery is on and it's working, if you assume so, Port Harcourt refinery is working, there's no landing cost, there's no custom duty to all those fuel and those PMFs, and then you begin to make life easier. Within that ambient, the importers will know that they don't need to skyrocket the price of petroleum products at the filling station. Even though at the press conference they asked him, what are you going to do?
But Pius Duka, we're absolutely out of time. There's a lot to talk about, really. Especially when you table the issue of Nigeria, there's a whole lot to talk about. Unfortunately, we're still having audio issues with the Benin station, so we may not be visiting Benin, but this is where we have to drop anchor. Well, from Port Harcourt, we say thank you very much, Pius Duka, for coming on the program. Thank you very much. Again, we'll drag you here, whether you like it or yes. And well, big thanks. Crossing the line.
Of crossing the line.
And big thanks to you also. We've also had Ozerue Aliyu from his state correspondent, Vanguard newspaper, former secretary, Edo State Council of NUJ. Thank you very much, Aliyu, for coming on the program as well. Dele Fanimo, in-house analyst, VOP, seasoned reporter. Thank you for being part of the show as well.
Always my pleasure.
I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day. Bye for now.
And I am Chukwuma Okoro. Thanks for coming on this show, and bye for now.